you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Aloha, everybody. This is Harold Green of Brightree Financial Group, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. I hope you're having a fantastic day today. I'm super excited to be bringing today's show to you. But before I get into it, I want to talk a little bit about my week. It's been very interesting. I was out doing business in a couple of different states. And in between, I had an opportunity to meet with my mom, checking on her, make sure she's doing okay. Had a big family picnic. All the kiddos came over, nieces, nephews, cousins I hadn't seen in years. It was really good. And I just kind of enjoyed being with family and then being out there doing business. And so I want to get into something interesting today. And I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to give you a market update, and then I'm going to get into my show. And the title of my show is This or That. And it was funny, this group put out a rap song a while back, and it was the Black Sheep. And basically they said, you can either get with this or you can get with that. You can get with this or you can get with that. And I just think there's some interesting things going on. So let's get into this or that. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's get it. So I want to give you a little bit of a market update first, because there are some very interesting things going on in the market. The Federal Reserve came out and they raised the rates 75 basis points. And but what got me the most is people leaked that information to the media before they actually had the meeting. And there's been a couple of high-profile leaks recently, and you guys kind of know what they are. And it's making me just kind of think a little bit about what's happening here. Either these things were hacked, or people, for some reason or the other, felt justified in doing something that they had no business doing at all. And so, nevertheless, it causes some different things to happen in the market. The day that they raised rates, market took off, which was good. But then the next day it crashed. And the market just can't seem to make up its mind where it wants to go. And you can kind of see it all across the board. There's a couple of different things going on right now. There's demand destruction in energy. And basically that's what the Fed wants. They want demand destruction. They want to kill demand in order to cool inflation. And I have a thought in my mind that goes like this. Until they get energy under control, until they get the cost of diesel under control, we're going to constantly see prices go sky high. And there's some other things contributing to this too. One of the things that contributes to this, I believe, and this is just my theory, I'm not an economist, I'm not a doctor. Basically, I'm just putting this information out there based on observation and things of that nature. The airlines and basically COVID policies. And just the way things are going right now. So basically, what I found out is if you catch COVID and you can prove that you caught COVID from a reputable, testing center or whatnot, the airlines, depending on which one you work for, will give you 10 days off with pay. You get 10 days off with pay. And I thought that was very, very interesting, because people will call in sick with COVID. And of course, you don't want to be spreading the stuff all over. I understand that. But when you give somebody 10 days off with pay and they're not really, really sick, for the most part, they're not really sick. Some of them just have runny noses and things like that. And mind you, some of them get seriously ill, right? But for the most part, a lot of people aren't sick all that much. Now, the question is are they really staying home, isolating themselves? 9 times out of 10, I don't think they are. Some people are, but I think a lot of people are out there in the community. They're outside. They're doing all these things that they do. And some of them are like asymptomatic after that. And they turn out okay. I think we just need to figure out how long can you be out, or actually how long can you be infected and still spread this stuff. But I don't want to get into it too much. But I think that is causing quite a bit of ruckus in the industry, and it's causing a lot of demand still when people are out there sick. Like I said before, they're out there, they're consuming, they're going out and doing all these things. But yet the goods and services aren't flowing because we don't have enough people to get the job done. And I think that's crazy. But going back to this demand destruction, where we're seeing people like not work in the office, they're staying home to save gas. And I get that. But it's causing a lot of ripples and a lot of different things to happen in the market. And so you just have to sit down and reevaluate your plan and figure out where it is that you want to go, figure out what stocks you want to hold, figure out when we can't pick a bottom. And I tell clients that all the time. I hope things settle down soon, but we can't pick a bottom. So what do? We have to look at the different stocks. We have to look at the fundamentals. And again, all investments carry risk of loss. Before you invest, go do your due diligence. Past performance is no indicator of future results. All investments carry risk of loss. But you got to look at your time frame. You got to look at your timeline and understand what you are holding and why you are holding it. I was on the plane coming home, and the lady sitting next to me saw me trading, and then we just kind of struck up a conversation when we got in the air. And she said, "I saw you trading." And my husband says, "I should get into day trading." I said, "No, you shouldn't." No, you shouldn't get into day trading. And I say that because I honestly care enough about people to tell them the truth. Day trading is not for the faint of heart, right? If you got a family, you got things to take care of, you do not have the time that it takes to do all the research. Maybe you do. And if you do, that's great. Go knock yourself out. But for the average American, they just don't have the capacity or the skill in order to pull it off. And what you see in the market right now is a lot of this stimulus money coming out. People are selling. They're selling because they're scared. And that's making us hit this thing called capitulation, where people just give up and they quit because they hate seeing their portfolio go down. I watch a lot of financial commentary and things like that. Some of the advisors have a lot of good things to say. And some of them are like, "No, we're not buying nothing right now. We're sitting in cash. We're sitting in cash. We're sitting in cash." And here's the thing. If you are a wealthy person, then yeah, you can afford to play that game because you probably have tons of different other revenue streams coming in. But you got to understand, inflation right now is probably more like 10 to 15%. When you add in everything, this inflation number we're getting, it's discounted for certain things. It doesn't have the price of everything that's going up, right? It's just discounted for certain things. And so we get like 8%, but it's really like 10, 15%, depending on what part of the country you live in. And so with that being said, it's causing a lot of problems. And so again, look at your portfolio, check it out. And so I want to get into this or that. One of the things that I came across the other day was a podcast show, and I do listen to other people's podcasts, right? Because I do believe in constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly expanding my mind, constantly getting new skills in order to make things happen. That's just what you have to do, okay? That's just what you have to do. And so I came across this show, and it was, what would you do if you could not fail? And that just got me because I had started thinking about what I wanted to accomplish on this business trip. And what would I do if I could not fail? In every hotel room I was in, I simply wrote that down on the little pad by the nightstand, and I just left it there. And every morning when I woke up, I would look at it. Every night before I went to bed, I would look at it. And I would ask myself the question, what would I do if I could not fail? And the next thing that came to me was, figure it out and then do what you need to do to make it happen. Put in the work, right? Figure it out, put in the work, and make it happen. Because a lot of times we don't have problems. We have symptoms of situations. They're not really problems. They're symptoms of a situation. And if you're not willing to do a deep dive and figure out why you're having those symptoms, then you probably are solving for the wrong problem. And I'll talk about that in another show. But I want to get into this or that. And as I was sitting down today, the note just popped in my head. And it went like this. I have to want this more than that. And you got to figure out what your this is. I'll give you an example. You can't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger and eat 20 cheeseburgers every day. You got to want your this more than the that. And a lot of people are just kind of like undecided. And there's a lot of indecision going on. And so when you look at that, in times like this, in this kind of market, it makes you even more indecisive. People get scared. But now is the time to take advantage of the weakness in the market, the downturn in the market, and start adding to your key positions and your key holdings in the portfolio that you know good and darn well in 10 to 15 years, these companies are still going to be there. They're not going anywhere because if they did, the question you would have to ask yourself is, who would fill in the gap? Who's on their coattails looking to take over market share? And maybe you want to start to diversify and add some money in that too. Okay? And that's a very wise thing. And so I have to want this more than that. And I had to figure out what my this is. Okay. And here's a little phrase, and it goes a little something like this. You can't have it all. I don't care what anybody tells you, you can't have it all. And here's another one. You can't want good things and still do bad things. The universe is not set up that way, right? The law of reciprocity, sowing and reaping, seed time and harvest. You can't want good things and still do bad things. It just doesn't work. You're going to have some success, but the bad things that you do, it's going to corrupt your success. It's going to start some kind of decay in your life in some area or the other, and there's going to be some kind of breakdown. And a lot of times people say, well, I didn't see this coming. Well, you've been sowing into that area, sowing and sowing and sowing, and now it's manifesting itself, either in a symptom or even worse, some kind of problem, a real major problem. And I think about it like this. You can have a lot of some of it, but you just can't have it all. You can't have double standards and hope things work out. There's a lot of that stuff going on right now. There's a lot of double standards going on, and it's causing a lot of problems. But you got to figure out what your this is, and then come up with some kind of game plan in order to make that happen. And then you just got to go do the work, right? You just got to go put in the time and go put in the effort, put the blinders on, and then just kind of shut down everything else. There's a phrase in the Bible, and it talks about forsake the foolish and live. I can't remember exactly where it was, but it's basically forsake the simple-minded, the foolish and simple-minded, and live. And I was talking to my cousin about this. Ty, this is for you. Hopefully you're listening to the show. He's my cousin, much younger than me. And so we talk a lot. We talk about business. We talk about the investment world. And, I give him a lot of advice. And one of the things I told him was, I said, look, I've been giving you a lot of advice. And if you don't take my advice, here's the scripture I'm showing you. It says, forsake the simple-minded, the foolish, and live. Live, live, live. Live means to, man, I'm telling you, you can live or you can exist. Live to me is an enjoy life, go accomplish, go do it big, dream big, plan big, make it happen. To me, that's living. And so I said, I keep giving you all this advice. The question is, are you taking my advice? And how I know you're taking my advice is by the questions you ask me. And if you don't, I got to forsake you. I mean, in other words, I'm not going to waste my time, right? There's other things I need to do. I need to live. And I think a lot of times we get bogged down in trying to help different people, trying to do different things, and not understanding the situation that we're in. He said, cuz, you're just going to kick me to the curb? I said, look, man, it's simple. I love you. I'm going to give you exactly what it is that you're asking me for. I said, but here's the thing. I'm going to know whether or not you're listening to me by the questions you ask and the actions you take and the fruit that you bear. If I don't see you bearing good fruit, then it's like, wait a minute, I'm going to stop sowing over there because you're bad ground. And you got to understand when it comes to this or that, like I said, you can't have it all. Some people are like, I want to be able to spend time with my family. I want to be able to do this and I want to be able to do that. And I want all of it. I want to be a great parent. And, but I don't want to work that many hours because my kids are going to miss me. But yet I want to have all this money and I want to have great income and I want to be able to travel. Look, you got to sit down and figure out what's important. Like I said, you can have a lot of some of it, but you can't have all of it. I don't care what anybody tells you, you can't have it all. That's just not possible. And so you got to figure out and you got to simplify. Basically what I'm saying is simplify your goals, simplify your dreams, simplify what's important to you, and then stop spreading your resources so thin, trying to accomplish so many different things. And that's the problem with some business owners. They get into this thing where they're like going after this, going after that, going after this, going after that. Like every good idea is not a God idea, and every good idea is not a great idea, because a lot of times these things just end up in disaster. So again, you got to figure out whether you're going to get with this or whether you're going to get with that. So hopefully this show has helped you today. Looking forward to sharing more with you in the future. And so until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.